Hello, Radiant One, and welcome to Spiritual Business with Maria Estella, the show and podcast for soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs and Magdalene's rising, wanting to lead with love in business and life. I am your host, spiritual business coach, mentor, catalyst, and facilitator, Maria Estella, and it is my deep honor, my great pleasure, and joy to share this episode with you. If you haven't already, I highly encourage you to join my newsletter to stay connected and updated. You can do so on my website, mariaestella.com, where you can also find previous episodes and their show notes. Before we dive in, just a small announcement. There is now a little over a week to join my 6-week healing journey for spiritual entrepreneurs, Mastery Through Love. If you feel called to expand love in your business, come join me and your sisters as I guide you through 6 powerful modules designed to help you stand out, speak your truth, and share yourself, your services, and products with confidence, care, and satisfaction. If this tickles your soul, go to mariaestella.com/journey to find out more. Hello, Radiant One. And as always, a very big and a very warm welcome to today's episode. In today's episode, I am going to be diving deep into a topic that is that's something that very often come up during either my one-on-one sessions with people or actually also during the journey work that I do, my Mastery Through Love program or healing journey. And it is the topic of, well, the thing is that it can seem as a fear of visibility. But one of the things that I've discovered through my work with people is that it actually is deeply connected to what is commonly referred to as the witch wound. Now, I'm not an expert on the witch wound, so I can only speak from my experience and what I see and how its connection to visibility or to fear in this lifetime shows up. And so through this episode, it is my hope that you will find yourself and hopefully also be empowered or inspired to take action in perhaps a different way that you have in the past. But we'll see. We'll get to there. So first of all, like I said, in my sessions, what I've discovered very often is that when we have a fear of standing out, or not so much standing out, but a fear of speaking our truth, or like standing out, becoming visible, of course, there is, from a biological perspective, there is the sense of we as quote unquote human beings are designed to be in groups. And so if you do something that, or at least if your ego or your mind has an idea that what you're doing is stepping outside of that group, that can mean quote unquote literal death, or it used to mean literal death. So biologically, we're designed to stay within our norms. We're not supposed to step outside of the confines or the norms of that group, because that could eventually lead to death. That's the one thing in terms of biology. However, in terms of the more spiritual side, I guess the right word is the spiritual side, is that you being here in this lifetime, you having been called to be of service in the world, that to me says that you are someone who's been a healer for many, many lifetimes. You've gone through lifetimes of being a healer or a shaman or a witch or a midwife or a medicine woman, or all of these different titles that we give healers throughout life or throughout lifetimes. And you having had that, because it's within your soul imprint, is within your soul code or DNA or whatever you want to call it. It's within you to come into the world, to be of service, to support the world in its healing, in its awakening, in its transformation, in its ascension, whether, whatever that looks like. For me, as you know, in this lifetime, that looks as being a spiritual business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs, soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs. And it also looks like having a podcast where I talk about things that, in previous lifetimes were perhaps not, we weren't able to speak as openly or as freely about it as we are today. So you're someone who's had those lifetimes, probably multiple lifetimes. And through that, you also have the experience of being killed for your knowledge. You have the experience of being mutilated, of being tortured, of being crucified, of being burned, of being basically having your life ended in very, very horrendous ways, and for simply speaking your truth, for performing your craft, for being who you are and who you came to be or are in truth. And so that those experiences are still with you. So when we talk about, like I said, when I talk about the witch wound and visibility, if you have an experience of being held back, and I want to make sure that you understand that whether you have 1 million followers or whether you have 2 followers, be it on Instagram or Facebook or on your newsletter or on your blog, if you have 2 readers or like 2 million readers, the witch wound doesn't really differ. The witch wound will, as long as, unless you take action steps in order to heal it, and unless you are conscious about it and are able to, you're able to go with the flow in terms of when it shows up. I'll share a story with you in just a moment about that. Then it doesn't really matter. It can come up for you until the moment where you are able to shower yourself with love and add love to it, and make sure that once those fears comes up, that they're actually being healed or cleared or whatever you want to call it. So the way that I've found that they can show up, there are different ways. It can show up either as what I like to call, quote unquote, seemingly valid excuses. So there is a seemingly valid excuse for you to not promote your services. There's a seemingly valid excuse for you. Maybe your website's not done, or your services page is not fully complete, or you don't have your newsletter subscription up, or you don't know what content to post, or there can be a million quote unquote valid reasons for you not to be putting yourself out there, for you not to show up, for you not to be visible, and for you not to promote your services or products, whatever it is. That's one of the ways that I see that this witch wound is connected to our visibility, to our soulful selling, to our promotion. The second way that it can show up is actually, real fear. Whenever you think about doing any of those things, promoting yourself, showing up, being visible in any way, shape, or form, whether that is, doing a workshop, whether it is speaking in front of people, whether it is, posting a story on Instagram, whether it is sending a newsletter, doing a blog post, doing a video, whatever, that you can actually have real fear that hits you. So you can have those senses, those feelings of fear, and not understanding, like, there is no tiger in the room. I'm not about to be killed. Why is this showing up for me? So there can be real fear. And then you can have, resistance, and that can come up as irritation, or it can come up as frustration. There can be, it may not be fully fledged fear, but it's like, there's just that, ickiness or something that is off. And like I said, this can actually be however far you are in your journey. Me personally, I am just about to dive into and by the time you will get this, this will have started, but I'm about to dive into a Instagram takeover. I will be taking over one of my dear clients, Elegant Alchemy's Instagram stories for 42 or 72 hours. And she is a beautiful, radiant light, and she shares and shines so beautifully. And she has an account of more than, I can't remember, 10,000 followers on Instagram. Me personally, I have about 800. So even though I'm showing up here, I'm showing up on YouTube and doing everything that I can to be visible and promoting myself and so forth. Since this opportunity has come up for me, it's been so interesting to watch myself look at, but I don't know exactly what graphics to use, and I don't know exactly what to write. And I've been asking about people, I've been all about trying to figure out. And it wasn't until I realized, okay, hold on, what's really going on? And like I said, I have been sharing videos and stories and everything for at least about a year, 2 years. So I'm in the habit of it, but that still comes up. That still comes up for me, and so it may also come up for you. And as you have heard me say before, and as you will hear me say till the cows come home, it is that love is the way. That the way that you actually there's no way around it. Yes, I could choose not to show up, but why on earth wouldn't I want to show up for people who are here to be of service? People are here to add more love to their life, and who would want what I have to offer. This is a great opportunity, and so as I've said before, love is the way. And also one of the words that have come up for me is compassion and baby steps. Whenever I encounter these fears or resistances, I like to start small, simply because of the way that I am. Small is never ever quote unquote good enough. I have to it has to be big I should probably say that in the past it used to have to be big, and so that was simply that was a self-sabotage. It was a self-sabotage, because if I couldn't make it perfect, or couldn't be big or bold, then I simply couldn't do it, and thus was able to hold myself back from doing what I actually love, being in service and teaching and being in sessions with people. So compassion and then baby steps. I allow myself to take the smallest step possible, because I know that once I take that step, I am then able to take my next step, and then I'm able to take my next step. And also, of course, acknowledging myself throughout this, and being really the most loving, kind, and caring person I can be towards myself. So if you're someone who's recognized yourself in terms of the witch wound, first of all, know that, and I've shared this before, I'm not sure where I've shared it, so I'll just go ahead and share it briefly. That is, it's because I've shared it within my Mastery Through Love. There's about a week left to sign up for Mastery Through Love, my 6-week healing journey, if that's what you want to be part of. This is where you could work with us. This is where we shower you with love, dissolve the fears, and expand the love. But the thing is, there's a difference between fear, or not difference, but there is, if you're in a room with a tiger, if you're about to get killed or hurt or maimed in any shape or form, then, that's not the time to sit down and start meditating about, what you can do to get out of the situation. That's when you leave, you leave the situation. You stop the bleeding, you leave the situation. However, if the fear that you're experiencing is quote unquote not real, then the fear is there to tell you something that something's deeper. And that could be, and most likely, because this is what I see basically in everyone. And if you're listening to this, that means that you've been called in to hear this. So I would say that you most likely have been a healer in in many different ways for many lifetimes, meaning that you've also experienced different horrendous deaths through many lifetimes, and that can actually affect your visibility in this lifetime. Again, we live in a very auspicious time where you can show up and not be killed or hurt or maimed for your beliefs, even though that still resides within you. So, like I said, love is the way. And so it's about compassion, and it's about taking baby steps. And also, like I said, if this is something that you would like to work on, you can either join my Mastery Through Love 6-week healing journey, in which we expand love, dissolve fear, and we do it in 5-6 areas that are very common to the spiritual entrepreneur. Or you can come along and you can join me in one-on-one sessions. I do have openings, so that's also possible. You can go ahead and you can apply for your free discovery session if that's what tickles your soul. Now, I would love to hear from you. Would you go ahead and share with me in the comments on this blog post, would you share with me your experience with the witch wound and what revelation that you've had through listening to this episode? That is what I have for you today. I love you. Take care. That is what I had for you in today's episode of Spiritual Business with Maria Estella. I hope it served you well. Find all of the deeds and the details by clicking the link in the description. And if you want to support the spreading of this message, share it with a friend or on social media, or leave me a comment or a review. God bless.